Hello there, good afternoon. Time for Marketplace with me, Charles Aite. Here's what's coming up this afternoon. ISA proposes sustainable expenditure tracking mechanism for state funds. We have more in our subsequent bulletins. And IFS predicts Ghana's fiscal position will be the worst since 1993 if government does not cut down on excessive borrowing amid COVID-19. Also, we speak to Kantanka Automobile as the car manufacturer diversifies production to match up with competition from other automobile manufacturers. We're going to be taking a break shortly. We'll be back with more details. Do stay. And you're welcome back. Now, the Institute of Fiscal Studies, IFS, has criticized government's social intervention programs amid the COVID-19, stating they were poorly executed and lack fiscal prudence. With Ghana's debt servicing taking 72% of government revenue, the IFS warns that Ghana's fiscal position will be the worst since 1993 if austere measures like immediately seeking debt release from debtors and slashing down employee salaries are taken. Let's listen to Senior Research Fellow with the IFS, Dr. Said Boache, who addressed the media not long ago.
By the end of 2019, the country had clearly fallen into a debt trap, since borrowing was no more a choice, but an imposition of the fiscal state of the country. This cycle can only be reversed if, one, revenue is able to grow at a very unusually high rate. Growth in employee compensation drastically reduces. There is debt forgiveness, as happened in the 2000s, or there's a combination of some or all of these. However, as we are all aware, none of these was easy to achieve in practice, even before the pandemic hit. Cutting, making a compensation grow lower than it is, the Ghanaian workers, the powerful labor behind them. Their service expenditure, how do you reduce it? Whereby you have already entered into obligations with your creditors, and you know what has been happening to revenue. The government has tried as much as it could, but revenue growth is still limited. So trying to reverse the situation that the country found itself by the end of 2019 was very difficult, even before the pandemic hit. Now, the third implication or consequence is that as a ratio of total revenue and grants, capital expenditure, which is needed to expand the productive base of the economy, decreased to the lowest levels in 2018 and 2019 since 1983. Because compensation and debt service expenditure are taking everything. Where is the money to invest in capital expenditure, in the economy, in terms of capital expenditure or investment expenditure? This is demonstrated in Figure 2. Let's see Figure 2 again. We can see from the figure that in 2018 and 19, capital expenditure as a ratio of total revenue and grants stood at as low as 9.3, 9.7, and 11.5% respectively. The reason for the low ratios in 2018 and 2019 is that the size of debt service expenditure and employee compensation is so huge and rigid that not much room can be created to accommodate capital expenditure.
Now, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA, is proposing the development of a sustainable system to track government funds that are earmarked for expenditure purposes amidst COVID-19. At an engagement to review the 2020 media budget, Director of ISA, Professor Peter Korte, says such a system will enhance transparency. He further warns that failure to have such a system will lead to uncontrolled expenditure, which could hurt the economy.
The government would have to use innovative ways or strengthen its revenue mobilization strategies. Digitization is very critical, that we try to mobilize more resources domestically to fund a greater proportion of the items listed in the media review rather than resorting to borrowing. there are new areas springing up. Due to COVID, a lot of businesses are going online. There's the need to try and rope them into the tax net. At the moment, we've seen the ID, national identification cards being issued and the rest, so people registering for TIN. These are all means by which to know where people are, what they are doing, and if there's a need to tax them, you are able to engage them and tax them. But of course, people should also realize the benefits from the tax. So it's not just taking money, but I should also know that, yes, my road is being fixed. I should also know that some of the services are being provided for me out of the tax. Then the issue about expenditure. Perhaps we might not spend how much we have spent so far if we are doing proper tracking of various expenditures. I don't believe we should wait for a year or two for the Auditor General to go and audit some of these expenditures. Because of COVID, I believe some of the expenditures were done swiftly. They need PPEs, you have to quickly disburse funds, So I believe as we are doing this, we should simultaneously be doing expenditure tracking, right from the disbursement stage to the end user or end beneficiary, to ensure that we are getting value for money at each stage of the process. And I believe that will eliminate some of the waste and some of the leakages. We don't want people to hide behind COVID and dissipate the public purse. We want people to be accountable. And Ghanaians would like to know, want to know how our monies are being spent and whether they are being spent judiciously. And 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 they are being spent judiciously.
Well, you've been listening to Professor Peter Quartey of ISA there, raising concerns for the need for there to be a mechanism to track expenditure amidst COVID-19. Well, my colleague Ebenezer Sabuti was there at the event and joins me for some analysis on what exactly happened there. It's no surprise. Earlier on, we heard from the IFS raising concerns about expenditure amidst COVID-19. What has been the key message ISA has been driving today?
So the key message is here, you know what, we have a situation at hand. We don't have to go all out to say we are going to spend without tracking or without knowing where the expenditure is going. Because we all see it as an emergency, there's the fear that government will go out of its target to spend unnecessarily. So what he's trying to say, that, or what ISA is trying to advocate, is that let's spend, but let's have a sustainable mechanism so that we can track. If we say we are using 2 cities to construct this or to buy this PPE, let's ensure that that 2 cities is buying that product and it's buying that product only. Let's not overspend so that we wait after a year or 2 before an Auditor General comes, they audit and they tell us that we have overspent. Because he thinks that if we are able to do that, some of the expenditures, you could see that they are unnecessary. Because if we are able to spend wisely, we could be able to save and then we could use that money for other stuff. So that's what they've been advocating for. There were also concerns about revenue generation, especially internally. We're normally looking out for our partners outside, the IMF, the World Bank, in order to fund most of our programs. He was saying that no, we can generate the revenue internally if we put in good policies and good mechanisms.
And we do know that today was about the analysis of the mid-year budget review.
Yes.
Was it skeptical in terms of the analysis? Were they having issues with the fiscal management policies that government has come up with?
Yes. For instance, the CARE program, the Corona Alleviation and Economic Revitalization Program. Yeah, he was saying that we are going to do this, but when you look at the source of funding for this program, it's about 70% of, it's like 70% of the funding is going to come from the private sector. Meanwhile, the private sector at the moment is struggling. How is government going to raise the funds from them? If the people are not working, if the people are not able to produce, to sell, how do you get money from them? So they are also raising the concern about that sector as well, that economic policy as well, that if that is the case, then there may be a challenge going forward. Yes, it can be a policy that will be able to sustain it for the medium term, but long term, it cannot be sustainable, because when you look at the structure of funding, there may be challenge with it.
Interesting. Ibn 70, many thanks for that analysis. We shall be having, extensive analysis on this in our subsequent bulletins there. But you did hear, Sabote, the concerns raised by ISA when it comes to our expenditure amidst COVID-19. Let's move on to other stories now. VW has officially unveiled their locally assembled cars. Now, prior to that, Kantanka Automobile took up the daunting task. A number of people say their cars were not everyday use, and not many Ghanaians can afford their luxury SUVs. Well, Kantanka Automobile has since diversified and started the production of smaller cars. But what has changed, and will they be able to stand the competition coming from other global brands like Toyota and the rest? In a moment, we will discuss, but first, this report on the quest to assemble vehicles locally in Ghana. It is the dream of every Ghanaian to drive a brand new car. Government has introduced a niche market to not only make this dream come true, but also complement its industrialization and job creation agenda. Events started taking shape in August 2018 when German Chancellor Angela Merkel paid an iconic visit to Ghana for a partnership to have German automobile giant VW establish a car assembly plant in the country.
Here is a business delegation that is very interested in investing more in Ghana. Some of them have already been here for quite some time investing in Ghana. I'm happy to be able to say that we're going to sign 3 memorandum of understanding today, and with us will be companies that are here to sign that agreement. Bosch, VW are just 2 of them. We will continue to assist you in industrializing your country.
This week, VW outdoored a collection of its newly assembled cars in Ghana with the price pegged at 60,000 cedis for the least. That for a brand new VW vehicle. Alan Tremontian is a trade minister. He played a key role in the compilation of an automobile bill, the first of its kind in Ghana.
What is happening today means a lot for us in our economy. Number one, it is going to help reduce our import bill. Ghana, on the average, has an import bill of over $10 billion per annum. In 2018, our import bill was $12 billion. And our 30 leading imports constitute about 57% of this amount. Just 30 commodities imports. Now, out of these 30, the most significant ones, the top 3, is led by the importation of transport vehicles, both passenger and transport goods vehicles.
Never get it wrong, VW is just one of many other automobile giants racing to establish car assembly plants in the country. Suzuki, CFAO and Toyota are among other competitors.
And my mission is to find out next India in the continent of Africa. We firmly believe next growth will come here in Africa, but we need to find out right place to be partnered with the manufacturing and distribution after sales of our vehicles. And Suzuki is partnered with Toyota Tsusho in the continent of Africa. We are working together in 26 countries right now, and we are expanding the number of countries. And we came to know from Toyota Tsusho that the Ghanaian government is planning to introduce new automotive policy. And we heard it from Toyota Tsusho executives who made a visit here last month. So we are highly interested in participating in such an initiative made by the Ghanaian government. We wish to start production here to expand it and grow it, is our wish.
With 30% shares in Ghana's automobile space, Toyota is up for some competition as it focuses on a local assembly point in the country. Andrew Lamte is head of sales operations of Toyota Ghana.
A lot of responsibility on us to ensure that every Ghanaian who wants to own a vehicle should be able to purchase a vehicle and pick a brand new vehicle. The advantage for every Ghanaian is that picking a brand new vehicle, you are driving a very safe car. Indeed, you are driving a vehicle that you don't have to worry about maintenance for at least the next 3-4 years. So it is very important for us to ensure that we produce vehicles and make the vehicle affordable, we make the vehicle easily accessible for every Ghanaian, and that is what we are committed to doing.
Already, we engaged the MD for VW Ghana, Geoffrey Opompepra, who maintained the presence of automobile giant in Ghana will in no way spark a wave of job losses for second-hand car dealers.
Second-hand operators, that there are a lot of things going on, we're not going to take their business. We are open to work with them, and we're going to transfer technology and also knowledge.
As grave competition stares them in the face, Ghana's first indigenous car assembly company, Kantanka, is getting more innovative at this point. In a tweet by the company's CEO, Kojo Safo Jr., showed a picture of smaller economic cars for the mass market. If successful and sustained, Ghana's niche automobile industry can sprint the country into the leagues of nations locally producing vehicles for not just local but also international consumption, a feat that will open up a new contribution to GDP in the long term. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business. You know, let's take a break. We come back and we dissect the entire matter, what has to do with the vehicle industry and Kantanka. Where do they find their ground? How innovative are they? Let's take a break. We come back to have that discussion. And you're welcome back to the marketplace. Before the break, we did see a clip that detailed the market dominance awake in the span of the automobile industry. Well, joining me via Zoom to give us perspective on this subject is the General Manager of Kantanka Automobile, Francis Kojo Kujoji. Francis, if you could hear me, welcome to the program.
Yes, good afternoon.
Many thanks for having you. Now, first of all, how are you repositioning yourself as Ghana's indigenous automobile company to own the customer space?
Oh, we, like I've always been saying, we are always ready. We are very solid on the grounds. And then we are assuring consumers that whatever they need be, we are still Kantanka, and we are ready to satisfy the demand of Ghanaians.
Are you really sure you're satisfying the needs of Ghanaians? Because we have done some survey already, and most Ghanaians are complaining about the cost involved in getting themselves a Kantanka vehicle. They say it's so expensive.
Prior to the automotive policy, you can bear with me that there wasn't any policy guideline to the industry. And we, like I've been saying, we've petitioned governments, successive governments on the way forward. Fortunately for us, we've been certified as a bona fide manufacturer. And for that matter, we have been granted a waiver of duties and levies, which is very good news to us and for our consumers. It's going to bring the prices down.
Great. So therefore, over the past few days, we have seen a particular clip on social media posted by your boss himself about some economic cars being, assembled as we speak. Give us some details on these cars. How much are they going for?
Yeah, that is true. We've depending on the taste of the consumer, if you are looking to ride in a very sleek 2.4-liter engine sedan.
No, I'm not talking about the sleek vehicles. I'm talking about those small vehicles we saw being assembled in your factory. If you could help us with how affordable they are.
Yeah, we've not commissioned those cars yet. They'll be out very soon. The prices will range between 40,000 to 50,000 cedis.
Come again, the prices will range from which amounts to which amount?
12,000 Ghana cedis.
12,000 Ghana cedis.
No, 12, 40, 50,000.
40, 50,000 Ghana cedis. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Now, moving forward, how soon will these small cars be available? You've already stated that you're yet to commission them. But already we have seen automobile giants, VW and the rest, take the market already. There's been a scramble for market dominance. Are you sure you're prepared?
Yeah, we are prepared. We are prepared for it. You see, anything Kantanka is new. And then, like I've been saying, those coming into the market are not our competitors.
Well,
they are big them too. You know, we are all come to help grow the industry. So it is good, and it's a good news for Ghana. So we all have to embrace, and then work hand in hand.
Great, great. I think the key message out there is the fact that you feel you're ready, and between 40 to 50,000 cedis. Let's see how that goes. But that's how we end this edition of The Marketplace. I'm Charles Aite. Many thanks for your company. Coming up next is Election Brief. Do stay.